Today's assignment has you reading The Witch Circe from the Odyssey, and your narrative focus this time is dialogue. Your learning objectives will be that you will be able to use annotation to help make meaning from poetry, and practice writing dialogue by following the guidelines we have taught you, and by using your imagination to recreate a scene. So, focusing on following the guidelines that we have taught you, we worked on this in class and you did an assignment writing some dialogue for practice. Now you're going to be writing some dialogue by yourself. So story 6 is on the witch Circe, and it would be considered book 10 in the Odyssey. Here's a picture of Circe here, and you know that if you study Greek mythology and after reading this text, because you know that the witch Circe has the ability to turn men into animals, and so since you see animals here gathered around her and you see some wine, she usually puts the poison inside the wine that's spilled, you can make the assumption that this is the witch Circe when you see paintings. So you have a 3-step process. The first step is to read the piece through once. If you can read it aloud, it helps. It may be confusing this first read, but that's okay. What we will do next will help make sense of it. Step 2 is one way to tackle complex texts is to divide them and then annotate the sections. I have divided the text for you and provided you with some annotations. You're going to fill in the ones I have left blank. Write in complete sentences, and when you are done, reread the annotations in order to review the story. Step 3 will be to practice writing dialogue at the bottom of this document. So back to talking about dividing the text for you into different sections, I want to show you what that looks like. So as you go down, you're going to see it has the introduction information. And then every time you see a line coming across here, that's a section that I have divided for you. So you're going to read here, and I have done the first part for you, but then you'll read this one, and you will do this one. Then you'll read the part in blue, and you'll notice that I have completed that one for you. And then you will read this part in white and complete that part. You'll read all of this, you'll read this part in white, and do this one as well before you do the dialogue. So let me show you what you're going to be annotating. Basically, what I want you to do is come up with, in simple terms and in your own words, what it's saying over here on the left. You're going to tell me in simple terms what it is on the right. So let's go ahead and begin reading the story. After sailing from Cyclops' island, Odysseus and his men land on the island of Aeolia. There the Wind King, Aeolus, grants Odysseus a favor by putting all the stormy winds in a bag so they cannot harm the Ithacans. The bull's hide bag containing the winds is wedged under Odysseus' deck. But during the voyage, the suspicious and curious sailors open the bag, thinking it contains treasure, and the evil winds roar up into hurricanes that blow the ship back to Aeolia. Aeolus drives them away again. The Ithacans end up on the island of the Lagestronians, inhabited by gigantic cannibals that devour nearly all the ships and men. Odysseus' ship escapes the lands of Aea, the home of the witch Circe. Here, a party of 23 men, led by Eurylochus, goes off to explore the island. Odysseus is still telling his story to Alcinous and his court. So this is a moment where he is still in the court telling stories of his adventures, and King Alcinous is listening. So what you'll do is you'll read what's on the left and then figure out how to put that in your own words on the right. So, inside the glade, they found the house of Circe built out of polished stones on high foundations. Round it were mountain wolves and lions, which she tamed with drugs. They did not rush on them, but gathered around them in a friendly way, their long tails wagging as dogs nuzzle around their master when it comes back home from dinner with treats for them. Just so, those sharp-clawed wolves and lions, mighty beasts, came snuggling up. The men were terrified. So, basically, in my own words, I wrote, they come upon Circe's house, which is made of stone and has mountain wolves and lions that don't attack the men because they have been drugged by Circe. I should say attack. They don't attack the men because they have been drugged by Circe. The men are still scared. Okay? So then you're going to read this next section. The house stood and heard some lovely singing. Or they stood outside the They stood outside and heard some lovely singing. It was Circe, the goddess. She was weaving as she sang, an intricate, enchanting piece of work the kind a goddess fashions. And you're going to write in your own words what that says. So then your job will be to read all the rest of this and do your part on the right. And this part as well. That's the end of the story. Then your step 3 is to practice writing dialogue. I put a link here to the document with all the dialogue rules in case you have lost it or didn't save it in class, so that you have access to all of the rules that you will need in order to do this correctly. You're going to finish this dialogue from the blue shaded section. So you're going to go back and you're going to reread this section in blue, and you're going to create a dialogue about this part. Imagine what the men and Circe would say to each other and recreate the scene using lively dialogue. This should have 8 exchanges or back and forth discussions between the characters. Use appropriate dialogue tags, commas, and proper rules for writing dialogue. Include multiple characters in this dialogue. There's a sample below. Just scroll down and write your additions in blue. So I've started the story for you. It begins. Outside Circe's house, Politis suggests to Odysseus' men who are his friends that they call to this woman singing. This should be. Someone is weaving on the massive loom and singing so loud the floor is vibrating, she says. Hey woman, singing, come out, the men yell to Circe. Would you like to come inside? Circe asks politely. The men go in through the shining doors, but Eurylochus stays outside. I think there's some trickery going on in there, warns Eurylochus. Ignoring their friend, the men say, let's go in anyway. Now is where you come in. You are going to start typing here, and you should have at least 8 exchanges between the different conversations between the people. To remind you, an exchange is, right now, so far, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 exchanges, 5 exchanges. So that would be what you're going to do now is you're going to add 8 more exchanges. And basically what you're doing is you're telling this story. They don't have, there's very little that they're talking about here. And so you're kind of filling in the blanks about what actually happened during this time. And you're pretending to be one of those people, or you can tell it like you're a narrator looking in, but you're making up what happened in between the lines that they don't tell you. If you'd like to see an example of a completed one, you're just going to go down here and read this one. Notice that this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different exchanges. And so this is about the length that yours will be when it's completed. Good luck. Have fun. I look forward to reading your dialogue, and just know that you will be graded on your punctuation and your ability to follow the rules.